wanted to just do a quick introduction to who Rana and I are, and just who we are as an agency, and then we'll go into, quick introductions, recap of why we're here, and then we'll get into the conversation. So I am Gemma Campbell. I am the co-founder and chief creative officer of Ladyship, and we are a strategic and creative consultancy based in New York and London, and I'm joined with my fabulous co-founder partner, Rana.
Rana Brightman, CEO and Chief Strategy Officer. So, shall I take it from here?
Yes.
I think Andrew actually did a really good job of sort of setting up the discussion today. Built by women, built different. And I think really just to kind of get us going, yes, we've got some fabulous women on the panel here today. We are one down. If we look around us, I think over the years, there's always been a bit of a tension around how women in business and brands are really sort of developing, building and leading, but there's evidence all around us. We're absolutely smashing it. We really are. So I think the question isn't so much about, should women be leading and building in such a way, but it's more like, how do you do it when you really do sort of, look at doing it with authenticity and not trying to follow certain systems and kind of processes. But what we have, we've got Mabel and Miranda here. They'll kind of introduce themselves shortly. We're going to have a conversation where we're kind of delving into their experiences, and it is quite diverse. You're both coming from quite different backgrounds and geographies, parts of the world, but also different disciplines. And each of our own lived experiences really does vary. So it's an opportunity to kind of share that with one another and with yourselves. And so to get us going really in terms of the introductions, it's not a classic, okay, where you are now, what's your CV? 2 questions. Firstly, who are you in your life and as a leader? And secondly, as I just kind of set up, why today, why is this conversation, why does this conversation feel important to you? And I will get going if that helps. Maybe Gemma can go last. But for me, who am I in my life and as a leader? So firstly, I'm a proud, born and bred Southeast Londoner to my sins. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 boys, and my cockapoo Rio, who's quite a handful. So, handful. My life is pretty full. There's a lot that goes on in my life. So there's family, there's the school, there's the community, there's friends. And you're like, how did you then, in the last 18 months, set up Ladyship? Because Ladyship is a big part of that. I'm immensely proud of what I've been building with Gemma, incredibly so. So that's a really, really full life. And in terms of the type of leader I am, I think when I kind of reflect on that question, it's, I'm someone that really does value honesty over harmony. That's not to say that, we're going to always rough and tumble it, but I think actually a lot of people struggle to be honest with themselves and each other for fear of confrontation, for fear of sort of, letting anyone down. But sometimes you don't get to the heart and soul of an issue or an idea or anything without that. I absolutely value partnership over hierarchy. And whilst short-term wins are really important in personal life and professional life, it's actually about the long-term impact that you're making. So those things are really important to me. And the reason really this conversation matters is kind of just how I set it up, which is, women are succeeding. I think for too long we have been doing so in systems that we haven't designed. And now we're looking at founders, building brands, businesses, redefining the way in which, they operate, which is really authentic to them. And so that's what I'm really excited to kind of discuss today. Miranda.
Amazing. My fellow South Londoner. And I've got some in the audience. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, Southeast.
Yeah, Southeast. Hi, woohoo! As if we planned it. So my name's Miranda, and I would say to this amazingly open question, I'm a creative storyteller, I guess, is 2 words that sums up a lot of it. I'm also a mother, and I would say I'm a leader in my work life and my home life, because I'm probably the person that gets most done at home. And I have been leading creative agencies for a long time, over 25 years. And even though I've had leadership positions, that's never stopped like this drumbeat of creativity in me. So I've worn an ECD hat, so a bit of a hybrid that still loves to contribute or come up with ideas whilst running business. And why does this conversation matter to me? Well, I have spent my whole career, I think, championing women in one way or another, be it formally or informally. So right now, I'm part of Women in PR, another grassroots movement called Break the Silence, which is about openly talking about the things women have to come up against in their career and in society. I'm also part of something called the G100, which is a global mission for equity for women. And I just have ended up trying to push women up, both at work and in creative output. So that's another way of looking at it. I think often how women are portrayed in creativity has a lot to be desired, and we'll probably unpack that later. And probably my best creative outputs have been my children. And why do I think this conversation matters? Well, I think particularly now it's like a nexus. For several years there's been a lot of talk about female founders, and there have been organisations popping up, and I think that the moment is really now. There are proof points, and I just love to see it.
How do you follow that?
Mirinda, thank you so much. My name is Mabel Adeteye, and I hope you can pronounce that. Adeteye. Yes. I'm from Nigeria. Born and bred in Nigeria. Thank you so much for having me today. So who am I? A mother of two. Proud wife of Mr. Adeteye. Wherever he's watching. I've been practicing PR and comms, brand management for the past 16 years. And this is what I've done all through my life, right? I've done both agency, both client side. For me, as what is that commitment that you have? How passionate are you with what you do? What drives me today is the passion that I have for what I do. And that's why I've not moved from this industry over the past 16 years. And that's because I love what I do. I love it on a daily basis. And yes, I'm a leader. So beyond the leadership, right, for me is what are you offering? What value are you creating? For every time I step out to work with people, to work with my colleagues, my subordinates, my seniors, wherever in the industry, for me is what value am I bringing on board? If I am there, it's because I want to add value to what you're doing, and because you believe that I can contribute. Again, for me, is that I don't just want to sit in a position because I'm a leader. I want you to see me from the angle of what am I contributing to that area of business that you've asked me to work on. And for every time I go back to assess that, I am always extremely proud of the contribution that I put forward in those things. I believe that as a leader, it's not just about delegating, it's not just about taking the back seat, it's about leading from the front, ensuring that you are able to create value to the people that you lead, you are able to show impact. Impact is something that is very, very, very key in my career goal. Again, that if I look at what I've done over the years, I sometimes ask myself to say that, how do I get the push? What's that driving force? I think every time I take a look at that, what constantly drives me is the passion that I have for what I do. It keeps me going. And then when I look at the impact that I've created in my industry, in the lives of the people that I lead, that I work with, that keeps me going, and I'm proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, a little bit about me. So, born in North London, actually, the opposite end of London to Rana. But now I'm a New Yorker. Go Knicks, for anyone who supported their win recently. Epic time to be a New Yorker and to be in that city. So a little bit about me. So I'm choicefully child-free, and I'm very proud of that decision. It was a difficult decision to make, and I have so much time to talk to women about this, but I so support women who have chosen to have children, and I think that's the beauty of mine and Rana's partnership, really, because we have both perspectives and we support one another. And yeah, I have a wonderful partner. I live in New York. I'm often in Central Park. I'd say it daily, at least once a day. And with the dog, with Lily, got to walk that girl. Also a Leo, so she has a lot of energy to give. And yeah, I'm really fortunate. I have a really balanced, healthy life. I really value boundaries. So I live with such intention. I'm very grounded. I'm coming up to, I think, a 790 days streak on my daily gratitude app. And it's game changing for anyone who's interested in that. Yeah, I really love my life. I live with my partner. He's a home chef, so I get the beauty of being cooked for pretty much every night. How I show up as a leader, I would say it is utter empathy. And I see some people in the crowd who know me quite well, and I think I'm quite known for this. I'm very people-centric. I care so much about the person in front of me or the people in front of me, and I listen intently. I just care. I care so much about people, and we are this industry is very people-led. It's all about the chemistry, isn't it? And I pride myself on really working hard to set up the perfect environment, whatever your capacity and ability, whether you're neurotypical, neurodivergent. I really do care, and I take the time, because if you're comfortable and you feel good, then you're set up for success to succeed, aren't you? And I was actually featured in a book recently called Perceptive by Rachel Radway. I think it was an award-winning book in the end on Amazon, so you can check it out. But there's lots of people like me who care a lot and are very introspective. Sometimes we're called sensitive leaders, which can be a taboo word. Yeah, but I like the word perceptive. I really relate to that. That really resonates with me. And so that is how I show up as a leader. So, Rana, did you want to do any more of an introduction, or shall I go straight into the ships?
I think go straight through.
All right. So, as co-founders, Rana and I built Ladyship on 3 things that we really believe in, and this is going to give a clue as to why we called ourselves Ladyship in the first place, because it really is a status, a way of being. And our pillars are around craftsmanship, partnership, and leadership. So we want to ask these fabulous panelists today, Miranda and Mabel, and Madison in spirit, of course. We want to ask, of these qualities, it could be all 3, it could be one of them. What is really important to you? How have these qualities shown up for you? What have you, strived to progress toward, to really do well as a leader? Would love to just open it up and just talk about those qualities and what they mean to you. So yeah, we can start there. I mean, I can give a little prompt just to get us going. Let's start with craft. As the Chief Creative Officer, let's start with craftsmanship. So I'll kick it over to Miranda first. What does excellence really look like to you? And if anyone did, or whether you carved your own path, who taught you and who inspired you? But yeah, what does excellence really look like to you?
Yeah, so I kind of rewind a bit before getting into the real executional nitty-gritty of creative, and I would say craft starts imperatively with really understanding your audience, or the community you're trying to target in a really big way, because I think, particularly if we're looking through the prism of women, some creative campaigns have got it terribly wrong when they've tried to appeal to women or portray women. I'm sure we've all seen period products with blue water and gone, that's interesting, what's that blue water? And all these kinds of decisions that are made without consultative process, essentially. There was another big campaign which showed a lady deciding to get up at 3 in the morning and go for a run because she was free to do so. And it got a lot of backlash because I don't know any woman that feels comfortable even like running and jogging without getting honked and catcalled at 6 p.m., let alone 3 a.m. and avoiding murder. So where's my point on that? I'm kind of blurring your question and a female point of view. I think that making sure you understand the audience before you do anything is super important. And it's also, not only will the data lead you to the right decisions, it will lead you to the right channels, the right kind of things in culture to be inspired by or partner with that people are actually interested in, but it will set you up for success, you know. So for me, paying that respect to the audience is really crucial, and I think that comes into play even more if you are kind of appropriating storytelling with people you know nothing about, say homeless people, and you're doing a TV advert about that. You have to consult them and not just go with the stereotype of what you expect, or any other nationalities. So I would say craft for me starts there, and then when you have that amazing insight, you can build something incredible creatively, which I'm super passionate about. And normally, the things I'm drawn to, the things I've made myself, have all been round, authentic storytelling, which I know is a bit of a overused word. But I think when you find the sweet spot with that, it all tends to work itself out.
I think authenticity is coming back round as a new trend because of everything that AI has given us.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And it's almost like we're going deeper now into authenticity, a deeper layer of it than we've ever experienced before. Yeah. We're pushing and fighting against it, especially from a craft standpoint. Mm-hmm. We want to be even more human, and so I think we're all grappling with what does that look like, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. With that authenticity right now, trust now becomes an issue because of the AI generation that we are in. And trust me that is going to go deeper than what we're seeing right now. And that is why I think that your question is actually very, very apt. You can't give what you don't have, right? I think when you're speaking to craftsmanship, you must have that. While Rinda was talking, she was talking about ensuring that you understand your audience, ensuring that you understand what you want to do, and that helps you even with your messaging and all of your creative direction. Just this morning, I posted something on my LinkedIn and my Instagram handle where I was just sharing my thought around the campaign that I recently ran for my organization, and I was talking about the little detail, the late nights, the ideation, the strategy that nobody sees, and you just see out of the blue, you just see the campaign running successfully. So if I start with that, when we talk about craftsmanship, is that one, you can give what you don't have. Again, that even when all the tools are staring at you, if you don't understand the way to use them, this age and time that we're in, people can easily see the gaps there. So when you talk about craftsmanship, I think there is a lot that needs to go into our personal investment into what we do. How invested are you in your career, in your journey? I mean, the foundation. Most times, now when we talk about PR, we talk about communication, when you talk about messaging, when you talk about storytelling, talk about creative direction, because of the AI age that we're in, you see a lot of things being repetitive, coming back to you over and over and over again. But if you understand the craft, you are able to see in between the lines. You're able to tell, what should I be doing when? Because I'm in this room where I have diverse people. What language should I use to communicate to them? In what dimension? In what way? What are the channels that I need to use to engage them? I think you will struggle if you don't have that, if you're not grounded in your craft, if you don't understand the nitty-gritty of your craft. And that is why this age and time, it is we can't overemphasize it. We cannot over talk about it because it is very, very, very important in how far you can go in your career, in how far you can succeed, in what area can you even be bold enough to share ideas. I mean, one of the things that we're doing today is because we've been in this industry for a while, so we understand. I mean, before the artificial intelligence age, right? So we've done the work. We've taken our time to understand what dimensions you have, how people have moved, what is their behavior like, what are the things that they want to consume. So you have that experience, put all of that together. I tell people that I don't joke with the things that I invest in when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to me getting the understanding of my craft. I can invest in that. I think that's one thing that we need to talk more about in this conversation about craftsmanship. You must ensure that you are grounded. You must ensure that you understand, just like Mirinda said, the audience, the people. You can't do that if you don't have the experience. You can't do that if you have not invested in that knowledge that allows you to be able to understand the dynamics, the trends. There are a lot of trends out there that right now that it is only your experience that can guide you on how best to engage. What tools should I use? At what point do I engage them? In what way can I navigate my communication to ensure that they understand? And I think it's very important that as women, we take on that challenge and begin to grow in it. Thank you.
No, that's great, Mabel. I just wanted to add something, I guess.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that you touched on. It feels weird that I don't have the microphone.
Is she being picked up okay?
But I also don't want to be left out. It's nice to hold something. No, I guess from craft, I think everyone talks about honing your craft. And I do think in the age of AI, some might say that is potentially at risk when you have a lot of tools that can potentially, whip up a strategy presentation. They could literally even start designing logos. But the reality is, I think, as you said, there's just a lot of slop out there. There's a lot of mediocre work. And I think it is about us really sort of digging deep. And it's a challenge when you've got the pace, the speed around us is moving at such velocity to actually have the bravery to sort of pause and think and apply rigor to whatever it is you're doing, whether that's kind of understanding the problem before you even uncover the insights on your audience, or even getting to that kind of creative platform that's going to give you that step forward. And we should be able to embrace tools, but you need that human in the loop as well. Yeah.
I love what you said about you can't, and hopefully I get the phrase right, you can't give what you don't have. I absolutely love that. We should be focused on what it is that, what makes us special and what we can contribute to. And I think as women, we often have many, many traits that we can contribute to in teamwork, in partnership, in any company that you show up in. So I think, let's segue into partnership and what that...
Absolutely.
Yeah, go for it, Rana.
I think partnership is a word that's banded around a lot. Yeah. I say that, and we've got that as part of Ladyship with craftsmanship, partnership, and leadership. But I think when you hear that term, there are variations of it. There's where it looks really good, and it's also like where it can be not that great. So I think I'm going to start with you, Miranda. I think when you reflect, like, what does partnership look like in practice? Like, where is it really sort of delivered? And what are kind of the ingredients of great partnership?
So I think it's super important. None of us is an island, and particularly in this industry, I think, the success of what you end up delivering often depends on multiple layers of partnership. I also think there's partnership within your working environment, with your colleagues as well, that can make or break, how you work together as a team and how your business thrives. I think we're all human, and people buy other people ultimately. So I think if it's new business, if you're already friends with somebody, if they like you, if you've had a way that you've connected before you're asking for something, that makes all the difference. If it's with your team and you're saying, please stay late, but you've got to bond with them. They're bought into the project. They respect you. You respect them. You're prepared to give them some days off, you know. Then they'll move mountains for you. But I think with the work, what I would say is I've had a hybrid career. I've run ad agencies and I've run PR agencies and I've run mixtures of the two. And I wanted to talk a little bit about oftentimes if a piece of work is integrated or has an earned element, then the partnership kind of importance ratchets up, because if you are just coming with this nice idea and you're going to pay for the eyeballs, fine. But if actually you need to get it out there in the world, get it take fire socially, have a journalist buy into it, the elements and the ingredients have to stack up. So if you're creating something and you need a celebrity partner or an execution partner or a event partner or whatever it may be, a partner in culture, then they have to want to work with you on your vision. You have to compromise a bit, and that's what breathes oxygen into the idea, and it goes out into the world and lives in a far better way than it would have done if you'd kept it tight in isolation. So I think that partly goes back to craft too. I believe, and leadership, I believe in giving oxygen to everything, to ideas, to how you lead, to let other people have space, because the universe can give you some surprises you could never have thought of that can be a million times better. So
Thank you. No, I actually really liked where you touched on in terms of not just thinking about sort of the business and client, you know, the agency and client relationship, but also thinking about the talent. And I think definitely at Ladyship, that's exactly it. When we talk about partnership, it's about how we as a team internally are collaborating and bringing our best talent to the table every time. So our clients do have access to kind of senior people from the get-go. So to you, Mabel, then, when I think, in your current role, head of brand and marketing comms, obviously you are the client. I know that you've got past agency experience, but it would be great to hear from that perspective, like as the client, where is it that you've seen agencies absolutely nail it when it comes to partnership, and where does it just feel too transactional and just not delivering?
Thank you. So with my experience working at the agency side and working with clients, I know that you can't. So when you talk about partnership, I think it goes in line with, goes together with collaboration, right? Even when you are signing an agency, a partner, and there must be that willingness to collaborate. I look at it from, it's just you coming to pitch your idea, coming to sell your brand to me, coming to sell your agency to me, but are you willing to collaborate with me? And that's because it's going to take a long journey, especially when you're signing retainership. When you're signing retainership and it's not just the one-off project, you and I need to understand that there is a need for us to work together. Are you willing to collaborate with me? Are you willing to let go at some point to ensure that that goal that I believe we're both chasing, we're able to deliver it? I think when Miranda was talking, she was talking about you must be willing to let go some things to get a lot of work done, and absolutely correct, because from the client side, the demand most times would be very high, but I need to be confident. I need to be sure that my agency can deliver, and they're seeing it not just from a client perspective alone, but they're seeing it from the angle of it is a must that we deliver this. I think when there is that understanding, when you know that past years in my career, I remember that for all the clients that I worked with, till today, I have relationship with them.
Yes.
A relationship with them because I took on the brief.
Yeah.
It's not a client thing. It's not an agency thing. It is something that I love. I love the brief that you're giving me. I think when you have the partnership with your agency, when you have the partnership with your consultancy firm, whatever you call them, I think you will get more from it. Where your agency sees this brief as something that they can put their name behind it. Sometimes when I tell people, I say that when you work on a brief, if you are able to put your name name behind it, I think you will get the best out of people. But when when agencies are just delivering based on this is the client, this is the agency, you know, that kind of feeling where the client is the one paying the money, we just want to deliver and move on. I think you can't get the best out of them. So you need to be able to look for that collaboration where you see the brief as yours. You can put your name behind it. You want to build relationship with your client beyond just pitching the ideas and again just working. The other part for me again is beyond the pitch. When you're done pitching the idea, what happens? Are you somebody that I can call to say that, oh, I need 1 or 2 things done, and then you see the need that, oh, if we put in 1 or 2 things into this, it becomes a success for the two of us. I think for me, once you do that, you will get the best out of people.
I love that. I was just going to just follow up, Mabel. What about being challenged? How important is it that when you have a partner agency, that they challenge you rather than just merely agree with you? So I say this because at Ladyship we talk about we're not another yes man.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm bringing into this.
So I perfectly understand your question. 100%, I understand it. But there are ways. No. I think there are ways where you will own your space, and I tell people that either as an agency or as a client. And let's even before I go into the agency side, even in client space, we have this. So you have ideas that you want to run for the organization. You have better ways that you feel that things should be done. I think we should understand our role. Our role is to first give the idea. You can't force them. You can't force the agents, the clients. You can't force the people that are paying the bills. You can't force them to take it. But I think it's very important that you let them understand that this is the direction that I think we should go. And you're giving the direction based on your expertise, because that's why you've been hired to do that job. Yeah. You're giving that direction because you have the experience. But leave it to them to make their decision, not forcing. But at the end of the day, what will happen is if there is a gap in between that, the client will understand that, oh, yeah, Ladyship had advised us to do it this way, but because we just want to, so you understand that. I think, again, knowing when to take a pause, knowing when to be extremely professional, where you give your ideas, you justify the ideas. I've worked with people who would require that I justify why we should do something. So I am grounded in that when it comes to justifying, because it's not from an individual perspective alone. It is something that you look through end to end to say, this will benefit you, this will benefit the campaign, would benefit the organization. I think once you are able to table all of that, and the client still insists that this is the direction they want to go, I think you allow them, and at the end of the day, you would. We all see what the impact is.
That's a great answer. Yeah. I wonder. I'm just conscious of time. Whether we want to move on to leadership, and that's kind of quite a big topic. And so we've kind of discussed already some of those qualities that make a successful leadership. But I guess, just to take it down a notch, it would be great to hear from each of you. I'll start with you, Miranda, around where have you felt a gap when it comes to how you've wanted to lead, or your intention when it comes to leadership, and then you've looked at how actually people around you have either rewarded it or perhaps sort of expected something different from you. And it might not be different, but there's often that kind of intention and outcome sort of gap, or perception reality, some people might say.
I might have signed my life away not being able to legally talk about some of this. But I've worked for some big global networks and some holding companies. And so you might have the job title MD, and I've had multi-million P&Ls and 100 headcounts, but depending on the structure of the organisation doesn't necessarily give you complete autonomy, which is why I think a lot of women and anyone decides to become a founder. It's because they actually want that control piece they've missed in their career, perhaps at bigger places. So I think that, there's quite often the sort of the head teacher, the buck finally stops elsewhere, and you might be made to do things from a business P&L point of view that really don't sit well with you. It might be you have to do redundancies. It might be you have to do restructuring of teams where somebody quite far away makes an arbitrary decision, and these actual humans and their talents. And I think a lot of people get to the point where they find fitting into like a very rigid box of how they're meant to lead in a big organisation driven by profit doesn't sit well, back to that word, with their authentic self. I think women might feel the emotional impact of watching their teams be unhappy, maybe more than men, but I don't want to be generalist about that. I think people who care will mind. So yeah, I've definitely been in those situations without naming any names. I think there's probably like a value equation. If you're a grown up, you're paid quite well to do something, and so there are some things you have to just do, and you might put up a bit of a fight and then realise, okay, the only way I can fight this is actually by leaving, because it's bigger than me. But I come back to sort of how I lead, and it's with two things really, with optimism and oxygen. I'm not a big on micromanaging. That's not to say I won't get my hands dirty and go and do anybody's task at all and still enjoy it and want to keep that flex. But if someone's meant to do a job, I think you should let them try and do it. And they might surprise you. So that's kind of what I mean by oxygen, with the idea, with the staff, with also, the shape of the business. If you allow a little bit of flex, you should plan ahead, but you need to allow a bit of flex for serendipity and what might really happen versus what you put in a PowerPoint that then just nobody looks at again. And then the optimism part is, I think we're humans, so you can't know every answer just because someone's given you a job title where you're in charge and you're leading. But what you can do is you can be comfortable that although you may not know, what's your attitude to not knowing? And if that is optimistic, if that is, I'm sure we together will find a way, I'm sure we can work this out, let's try and work this out, and you're that calm presence, that can kind of put their arms around people in a panic, and they can look to you, and it's more an attitude than an answer.
I think we're covering some really broad themes here, right, around trust and space and hope as well. Mabel, what's resonating with you on just all things leadership? And I will say space is so important for us at Ladyship. That's why we work a 4-day week. We absolutely need those boundaries, that mental capacity to come in sharp. But what's really important to you as a leader, Mabel? How do you step up and thrive where you are?
Thank you. So let me pick two things, just like Marinda did. And my two would be, one, as a leader, very objective, as opposed to being subjective. And I will try to explain that. The second for me is capacity building. And these two, very important, outside when we talk about professionalism and integrity. But these other two that I mentioned, which is being objective and capacity building, very important for me. And that's because it gives it gives some sort of fulfillment when I'm able to do this. One is the objectivity part, because I lead a number of people, right? Also because in terms of the kind of work that I do, the demand is extremely very high. Again, you agree with me that when you run communication, you have to be able to preempt crisis. So when you're dealing with human, when you're coming up with ideas, when you're thinking of how to navigate, when you're coming up with solutions, you must ensure that it is the subject that you're looking at and not just an individual to see how would you react, and again, because after you're being objective with that, it would guide you on the various way to navigate. So for me, it's being objective when I see things, being objective to be able to give feedback, being objective to be able to dimension things carefully, and that helps me to make proper decision. And that has really helped me in my career, because these are things that at the end of the day I'm able to defend, when it's about being objective. It guides you on decision making. My kind of profession requires that you must on the spot be able to make the right decision. So I'm very, 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 very keen with being objective, and that has really helped me in my career. The second part is competence, capacity building. That fulfillment when you nurture talent, when you nurture things, when you nurture ideas, when you create something and you look at it and it blows up. That fulfillment that comes from it. And that has really, really helped me in my career. So you look at people who work with you, you look at people who report to you, you look at committees that you serve in, you look at where you work, and you see how you nurture ideas, you see how you come up with little things, and then the collaboration, the support from people, you are able to drive impactful results. So for me, is when I meet you at whatever level, I want to see the impact that I'm able to create in your life. I want to see how I'm able to help you refine your idea, your career. When I do this, I sit down with people and then we just look at the kind of brief that we've worked together. So can you see how we started this brief? Can you see how it has grown? Can you see what we can do with that? That drives me a lot. And that's the fulfillment for me, because the kind of work that I do is very, very demanding. You can get busy, get swamped with that. But when I constantly do this, it helps. The energy just comes. It comes because you're looking at the impacts that you're creating. You're looking at the impact that you're making in people's lives, in their career, in people who report to you, who work with you. And that alone helps you to continually come up with things that helps them to grow. Yeah.
Mabel, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
No, honestly, I
Thank
think
you.
I was just trying to capture just the things we were hearing. So optimism, oxygen, objectivity, openness. There's lots of O's. I was like, what's capacity building in an O? Anyone help me out? But then and then I just put like fulfillment with a little love heart, because I agree. I think, it is about sort of all of those things, but like seeing the impact, be the impact that you want to, to see, to make that kind of impression that you leave on others. Loved that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Wow. I've really enjoyed this conversation. What a fascinating discussion. I think we've touched on so many traits and like just the way we're talking about our experiences. Doesn't it not just sound so deeply human? Absolutely. Right? And like just bringing all these aspects into your craft, partnership, leadership. I think it's been a very positive, enriching discussion, lots of interesting themes. We're going to continue this discussion in a round table. So for those of you joining us, we're very excited for that. We'll try to follow up with some themes, actually, right, on LinkedIn so that folks can debate and get stuck in. But this has been such a great discussion. And if this is your first impression of Ladyship, we hope it's not the last. And for those of you catching up on the recording in Cannes this week, if you're getting a bit of FOMO on the fans, we have plenty. So definitely reach out. Don't be a stranger. Continue the conversation. I think it's so important that we show up as humans and really celebrate our own personal strengths that we can bring to companies and business transformation and growth.
Marvellous.
Yeah.
So to say thank you, Miranda. Thank you, Mabel. Thanks to the rest of you.